Hello, this is Desiree Delahant. This is my EDL 850 Module 14 case study of internet use violations. Category 1 is the problem identification and analysis. So it's over internet use violations, threats over the World Wide Web, and that was the case study we did. And I broke it into sections A, B, and C. What do you know? What do you need to know? And identify the problem. Section A, what do you know? So we're looking at Slattery-Steno High School, and it's an affluent area in a large city. The families in the school are well off, which means the students have the most current styles. They have technology available to them. Dr. Smith has been the principal here for 9 years. He's well established, and he actually was awarded Principal of the Year. Miss Kate is a beginning teacher. She had finished her associates, her bachelor's, and some of her master's by the time she was hired into this position. She is in her second year of her career, and this occurred in November. She didn't change her class structure, though, to reduce student stress after Mr. Smith had recommended she do that because parents and students have been upset and sending in complaints. They're saying that her class is too challenging and rigorous. And so he did suggest that she make some corrections. We do know that. We also know that she received an email with a link to a Facebook page with threatening content. Category B, what do you need to know? I need to know where the link originated from. So I want to see if my tech department can find the origin. I need to know which students were involved in the threat, if there happened to be more than one. I need to know if there were any intended actions behind the threat. So were they going to follow through with it, or was this just a prank? I need to know if William Hall created the Facebook page. We do know that they had a small altercation before the break. I need to know about the most recent parent and student complaints in Miss Tate's class. And I need to know how bad the stress level of the class is. So what behaviors are being displayed by the students? And what is the workload that Ms. Tate is assigning, because we are getting so many complaints. So I would have some kind of observation notes, or I would have hopefully documented these things that I was suggesting to her. C, identify the problem. So we know that Ms. Tate is causing a stressful environment. She is not taking direction from the principal to alleviate some of that stress on the students. And we do know that parents are complaining, so that's a part of the problem. Ms. Tate's feeling unsafe. Is she going to be too afraid to go back to work? Will she treat the students differently now that she has been threatened? Is that going to change the atmosphere in her class? Another problem is that a student did threaten her. That is something very serious that is not to be taken lightly. We also know that there was a Facebook page available shaming a teacher. So that's a problem. Other students can access it and may have already accessed it. So that's something that's part of the problem I need to fix. Category 2, what is my proposed plan of action with appropriate strategies for implementation? So A, how will I resolve the problem? My first step is going to be to interview Will with an SRO present. I want to talk to him because if it was him and he does confess to making these threats, he will be expelled. If it wasn't him, I want to see if he knows who did create the page. In the case study, it did talk a lot about how he was very tech savvy and other students asked him for help with tech. So maybe he had something to do with it or helped somebody create this page. I need to see if the district's tech team can find the source. That would be something good because then we can pinpoint who did it. I need to require a change in Miss Tate's class. Obviously, things are not working. This is her second year, and I continue to get parent complaints, and students are obviously not happy if we have threats happening now. And I also want to have a school assembly about the expectations of the students in my school. So B, how am I going to implement my plan? What strategies am I going to use? Obviously, when I interview Will, I also need to speak with my superintendent and the SRO about expulsion. So what are we going to do if it was him? I need to interview the other students from Miss Tate's classes. I need to see if it happened to be somebody else or if they can help me figure out who did it. I need to work with the tech team in my district. Working with them is hopefully going to help me find the source of this Facebook page. I need to provide Miss Tate professional development in instructional strategies. She is not doing very well and the students are struggling in her class. She needs some help. So I also need to observe Miss Tate's class frequently and see what is going on. I need to meet with her after these observations so that I can give her some examples of things she can change, or tell her what she's doing well, or there's a whole list of things that we can do if I'm observing and seeing these things that these students are saying are too stressful. Review policies and consequences in the assembly. So when I do have that all school assembly, I want to talk about what will happen if I find out who did it and if it continues to happen, because it is not acceptable at all. Category 3, resolve the issue based on promoting the success of all students. So what is best for the students? Any student who's found to be involved will be expelled, pending a hearing with the school board. Ms. Tate will be required to restructure her classroom and instructional delivery. I think these two things are going to help promote the success of all students. If these students continue to make threats, that is going to make Ms. Tate feel unsafe. What if she decides to leave? What if they start threatening other students, or I'm sorry, other teachers at the school? This is not acceptable behavior, and I want them to know that. Ms. Tate is causing a stressful learning environment, though, so we need to restructure her class so that the students can be successful. I think by restructuring her curriculum and require that she take some professional development, I think that would really help. Debrief the problem. So what was I thinking? I thought that if I was in that same situation, I would be scared. I don't think a threat is ever to be taken lightly. Even if it is a prank, it's still not okay. There are really scary things happening in schools all around the country, and so things like this have to be addressed. What was I feeling? I felt that this could probably be avoided. I felt like if Ms. Tate had made the changes to the structure when the principal had originally talked to her about it, she might not be in this situation at all. Some of the things that I valued, I did value the hard work of Ms. Tate. She works really hard and tries to keep her class structured. To me, that's something very important in my own classroom. So as a principal, I think I would really value that in my teachers. I do think that she is an important asset to our school. So I do value her, and hopefully we can figure out a way to keep her. This is just continuing category 4. So unresolved issues. The creator of the website might not be found. And that could be an issue because more of these threats could crop up and be added to the website that was already created. It could cause anxiety for not only Ms. Tate, but other teachers could also be targets of this threatening activity. Ms. Tate may not agree to change the way she teaches. That could be another unresolved issue. So she may have to be let go if she does not change the way she's working with these students. No students should be in a stressful environment. That's not what school's for. She's supposed to be educating them, and if we are not teaching them the right way or causing too much stress, they're obviously not going to be learning much. Category 5, reflect on Standard 5. So Professional Ethics Standard 5 says, an educational leader at the building level applies knowledge that promotes the success of every student by acting with integrity, fairness, and in an ethical manner. So component 1 was integrity. So I, as a building leader, work to find the culprit by asking for honesty from my students. I cannot blame a student without proof, so that's why I asked for help from the district's tech team. Component 2 was to act with fairness. I am giving Ms. Tate a fair chance to make her class a less stressful learning environment for her students. Component 3 was to act in an ethical manner. Frightening a teacher and making threats is not acceptable behavior, period. I will be punishing the student, whoever it may be, and I will treat any student who behaves in a similar manner the same. I think that is the ethical way to handle it. Make sure that it is consistent across the board. It doesn't matter whose child it is. It doesn't matter if it was a joke or not. It has to be dealt with. And here is the source for the case study. Thank you.